My name is Paul Wozney, spelled Wozney, and I'm the inspector in charge of the traffic section for the Calgary Police Service. Yeah, so I just have a few comments that I want to make first, and then I'll certainly take any questions that you have. So after a record year of 29 fatal traffic collisions in 2024, we've already had 3 fatal collisions so far in 2025, and we're still in the first month of the new year. 2024 marked the highest number of fatal collisions since the calendar year of 2013, a continuation of a year-over-year increase in fatal collisions since 2021. It was also the highest year for pedestrian fatalities, with a total of 13. So why is this happening? It's difficult to narrow this down to a single cause, as many of these incidents are case by case and can require extensive investigations to ensure all possible contributing factors are examined. From weather to road conditions, to sun glare, to distracted driving behavior, to assuming it is safe to proceed when it actually isn't, are just a few of the factors the traffic section investigators and other members have to look at to try to decipher what actually happened in these fatal accident collisions. Speaking specifically to pedestrian collisions and pedestrian fatalities, having the right-of-way does not always mean it's safe to proceed. Whether in a marked crosswalk or driving through a green light, it is crucial for all road users to first establish that it is in fact safe to proceed and safe to cross the road. And I'll answer any questions you have now.
Mike Saddington, CBC News. I'll start right off the top. Over the last year or 2 years, I think everyone in this room has noticed a decrease in the quality of driving in our city. Has the Calgary Police Service noticed a decrease in the quality of driving in the city in the last 2 years?
Well, how I would answer that is our city has seen exponential growth over the last 2 or 3 years. I think that's largely driven by our economy in Calgary. We have a good economy in this community. That economy attracts a lot of people to come to our city, come to our southern Alberta. So I think that would certainly be one of the contributing factors that I would look at. I would also suggest that there's been somewhat of an erosion of manners or mannerisms around driving. Every single day I'll be driving home down southbound on Deerfoot Trail. I'll let somebody into my lane. There used to be a courtesy wave as a thank you. Just the little nuances of driving. I think we've lost our way a little bit as a community, and I think it's really important for us to get back on track again when it comes to addressing those things. And quite honestly, it's incumbent on all of us, the police, the media, everyday Calgarians, to do that. So really one of the reasons we wanted to sit down and have this conversation today was to start the narrative around that and move that narrative forward.
As the eldest member here, the next thing I'm going to talk about is elderly drivers. I've noticed certainly in the last year that we have more elderly drivers, and literally in the co-op parking lot the other day there was a woman driving who had Alzheimer's. Are the police reticent of pulling older drivers over who are going slower than the speed limit? Are you reticent to do it? I would be if I was a 30-year-old officer. If I saw, listen, we think of speed as the danger. We don't think of driving under the speed limit as dangerous. Mm-hmm. I wonder if sometimes officers are reticent to pull over senior citizens.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think Jim Wells would argue with you that he's probably the eldest in the room right now. But second to that is that it's certainly, we're aware of it. Of course we are. I'll just add to that. We had a pedestrian fatality in 2025. It's still being investigated right now. The driver was an elderly driver. So those are the types of contributing factors to some of our collisions. Is it something that our members are aware of? Absolutely, they're aware of it. They're aware of a lot of different driving issues that are going on in the community. Part of it is around our elderly drivers and ensuring that they are in a position to operate their motor vehicles in a safe manner.
raises the question.
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead. And then you could. What is the, I know after 70, is it every 5 years you should be checked for your license? Is that, are they?
You know, I can't speak specifically
no,
to it,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
From the CPS level, there's been quite a mandate to pull over a ticket or charge distracted drivers. What about distracted pedestrians who be maybe looking at their phone, on their headphones, or just simply spaced out and unaware? How does that factor into?
Yeah, like, I have to be honest with you, Jim, and say that I'm more concerned about somebody driving around a 4,000 or 5,000 pound vehicle that's has their eyes into their phone than I am around the addressing it from a pedestrian perspective. But from a safety, through a safety lens, that is definitely one of the things that, and I know some of the traffic response members have those conversations with pedestrians to address that. We've had recently as recent as last year, we've had people killed with earbuds in, listening to music or listening to whatever, crossing and getting hit by C trains. So it is absolutely something that's on our radar. But this isn't just a policing issue. There's a common sense component that goes with this as well too. If you're going to be crossing a street, take an earbud or two out of your ears, turn down your music, have some awareness about it. Ensure that when you're crossing a road, that you make eye contact with the driver that's coming, that's going to cross in front of your path, to make sure that they see you and you see them. These are some basics that we've lost tune with. Again, everyone in this city has a very busy lifestyle, but we need to pause and reevaluate what we're doing and why we're doing things. And it's great that people are in a rush and they got to get to places and do their business, but it is incumbent on individuals to take responsibility. We can certainly message as much as we possibly can and want to. I don't want to see any more of these collisions. But what I will say is, sometimes it takes a community. Part of it is the police and our messaging. Part of it is you as the media helping us get that word out. But it is incumbent on individual Calgarians to take responsibility for themselves.
And just one more follow-up. I can confirm that Mike is the most elderly. So he's got me by a few years.
It's just by weeks. Yeah, it's by weeks. An increase or decrease? Have we seen an increase in distracted driving tickets, like data-wise? Do you get
I'm sorry, I don't have the data on that, but I can tell you from an ad hoc perspective, distracted driving is through the roof in this community, as it is in every community in this province. And it's another issue that we have to contend with. I think there's a opportunity for some technology to be employed with this, with our tech companies, but that's another conversation. But any of us, you all drove here today, how many people did you see on the phone or with their nose pointed down instead of pointed through the windshield of their vehicles? It happens all the time, all the time.
Inspector, when it comes to enforcement, are police adjusting how they enforce when they're on the roads, given these numbers that we're seeing?
Sorry, say that again?
In terms of enforcement, are police adjusting how they enforce the rules given the numbers that we're seeing? So for example, are police in specific areas now that are trouble spots, specifically when it comes to accidents, collisions, things like that?
Yeah, so just to talk about more of our fulsome approach to traffic safety. So I'm in charge of the traffic section. So the police officers that are assigned to the traffic section work exclusively under that umbrella, if you will. So that's what they do all day, every day. Investigate traffic collisions, issue summonses for traffic-related offenses. Also, our patrol officers also are out on the road. When they're not doing calls for service, we have an expectation around our patrol officers conducting effective traffic enforcement and traffic education. So that's the first thing that I want to mention about that. We also have monthly highlights for traffic safety. So it might be pedestrian safety. It might be we want people to be more aware of the safe installation of child safety seats. It might be seat belts or speeding. So every month we try to choose a topic, and we can certainly provide that to you all, that has been identified across the province as priorities for traffic safety. So again, there's a lot of issues under the Traffic Safety Act for us to address, but we do try to look at the statistics And what those statistics tell us, then we try to direct our enforcement towards that.
And when you're pulling over drivers, are there particular reasons or more common reasons that drivers are giving you for their poor driving behavior?
Well, to pull somebody over, we have to have a lawful reason to do so. So typically, the reason that we're conducting that traffic stop is an officer will observe somebody on the telephone, or on their cellular phone, sorry. They'll observe texting and driving. They'll observe somebody not wearing a seatbelt. So there's a myriad of reasons why we're conducting that traffic stop, and it's incumbent on the police officers to explain the reasons to those offending persons of why they're conducting that traffic stop.
So when that happens, do people, like for example, if they're pulled over for speeding, do they commonly mention they're going to work, they're rushing to work, they're rushing to school, things like that?
Everyone's got an excuse why they're speeding, right? So, or everyone's got an excuse why they're on their phone. Typically, it's because they needed to map their way to a location or what have you. So, you know, I think there's certainly some discretion. I know when I was out writing my share of traffic summonses that I certainly heard a wide-ranging reasons for why people were conducting themselves the way they were. But, you know, it's a combination between officer discretion and issuing summonses to ensure that we can get the proper response, which is to stop the behavior.
And I don't know how much you can answer this question, but given the province is looking to roll back photo radar, are you concerned that poor driving behavior could increase in our city?
I think the Calgary Police Service has done a really good job of demonstrating the correlation between automated traffic enforcement or photo radar and using it effectively to slow people down, to ensure that people are more cautious when it comes to high collision intersections. So when we lose a program like this, or it's been cut back the way it has been, it is absolutely a concern of ours. And I also know that the chief and our deputies will be speaking to it more at Police Commission later today.
Sorry, you have a question? If you could leave Calgarians, drivers and pedestrians, with one quick sentence on how they should be behaving on the road, how they can be better, what would you say to them?
I would ask our Calgarians to slow down, keep their noses out of their phones, and be courteous on the roads.
When you have a record year of deaths on Calgary roads, what's the impact on the officers involved in your unit?
Significant. I take the opportunity to go to these collisions to support the members that are on scene. The burden on these police officers is significant. It's not just on these officers. It's also on their families. So this isn't just these deaths don't just affect these families. There's a ripple effect. It's like it's that ripple, like when you throw a stone into a body of water, and that ripple effect, and it affects the community, it affects neighbors. I call these generational offenses, where they don't just affect that first generation. Families will be talking about these losses for generations to come.
Any other questions?
Just a bit of background. How many years have you been on the force? What other units have you seen? Sort of thing. Just for the story that we're doing.
For me personally,
Yeah.
this is I've completed 25 years of service with the Calgary Police Service. This is my first tour, if you will, or experience working exclusively in the traffic section, having done most of my career in investigative areas. But that being said, the investigations that occur in the traffic section are extremely complicated, very high level. They're very protracted, much like the organized crime and major crimes investigations that I've been privy to in my career. And the work that goes on in this section is amazing, considering the death and destruction that these police officers are privy to, sometimes on a daily and weekly basis.
Before we wrap up, do you want to touch on the sheriffs?
Yeah, thank you. I do think it's important to mention that we have a really good partnership that we have that we've I don't want to say we started it, but we're certainly building on with the provincial sheriffs. So we've actually approached the provincial sheriffs as partners around enforcement, particularly on Stony Trail. We're going to see if we can draw them onto Deerfoot Trail a little bit too, but you will see the presence of Alberta provincial sheriffs working protracted hours on Stony Trail for the foreseeable future. And just in addition to that, and I think it's also important to add, if I may, is when drivers see police officers or sheriffs conducting traffic enforcement on our roadways, it's critical that we give those police officers the room to conduct their work. So what that means is slowing down, giving them an extra lane, moving over so that they have the opportunity and ability to execute their duties in a safe way. And if you could help us to get that message out as well too, we need to continue to give these police officers the room to do their jobs. So any other questions? No? I appreciate your time today. Thank you.